No matter where you go, your baby toddles right behind you. The moment you sit down on the floor, they immediately crawl into your lap. You stand up, and they try to stand up too, following you like a little shadow. On some days, you'll find that sight incredibly adorable and sweet. But let's be honest with each other, on other days, when the pressures of life weigh heavily and your body is exhausted, you would be willing to trade almost anything just to be able to use the bathroom or walk from one room to another without a tiny creature clinging tightly to your leg. Many times you feel helpless, frustrated, and wonder if you are spoiling your child too much, causing them to become weak, whiny, and unable to be independent. So why? Why are babies and young children so clingy? Most of us think that is a normal question, but in reality, it is the wrong question, and it always leads to the wrong approaches. When you try to find ways to manage this clingy behavior, you are unintentionally fighting against nature. The real question must be, what is the baby's brain doing when they follow you? What developmental mechanism is operating beneath what looks like annoying clinginess? This phenomenon is most pronounced from around 8 months of age, when most babies begin to crawl, until about 3 years old. But even if your child is older or younger than this age range, this is still knowledge you cannot afford to ignore. The mechanism behind the following behavior actually begins very early, even before the child knows how to crawl, and its echoes will continue to reverberate forward, shaping the child's entire childhood and far into their future. To understand this, we must start with a truth that changes every perspective. Your child is not following you, they are using you. It might sound harsh and utilitarian, but it is completely not the case. This is one of the most beautiful things that developmental psychology has ever recorded in history. In 1969, British psychiatrist and psychoanalyst John Bowlby published Attachment Theory, a theory that revolutionized parenting. At the center of that theory is the concept of a secure base. This concept points out that a baby who has a secure attachment with their caregiver never spends all their time nesting or clinging tightly to that person. On the contrary, they use the caregiver as a base, a secure anchor from which to venture out and explore the world, and then return. Observe your child's behavior closely. They crawl away, play with an object, and then occasionally look back to check if you are still there before confidently going further. When encountering something scary or unfamiliar, they will immediately back up toward you, clinging to you to regulate their emotions and recharge their sense of safety before trying again. The following behavior you see every day is not the child refusing to leave you. It is how they maintain the conditions for exploration to take place. They follow you not because they cannot do without you, but because keeping you in sight, within a safe range, is the only thing that allows them to engage with this world. Mary Ainsworth, who expanded on Bowlby's work through the famous strange situation experiments in the 1970s, proved this with astonishing clarity. Securely attached babies, those with the healthiest developmental outcomes and the most psychologically resilient minds, are not at all the ones who cling to their mothers the most fiercely. Instead, they are the ones who leave most confidently, check back most willingly, and recover psychologically most easily when facing stress. Following and exploring are two sides of the same coin. You cannot have one side without the other. When a baby follows you everywhere, they are not displaying weak dependency, they are demonstrating the conditions that make independence possible. The orbit around you is exactly what allows them to eventually leave you. A child's confidence to step out into the world is built brick by brick. From the very moments you are reliably present when they turn their head to look back. The second truth you need to know: your body, your presence, is exactly a map of the world to the child. Your baby is currently learning at an incredible pace that they will never repeat for the rest of their life. In the first 3 years of life, the number of neural connections forming in a child's brain is greater than during any other stage of human development. A large part of that learning does not come from books, nor does it come entirely from direct self-exploration, but takes place through a mechanism called observational learning, meaning they learn by watching you. When a baby follows you, they do not simply want to be physically close. They are studying you with extreme seriousness. They scrutinize your face, your reactions, your body language, and the way you respond to the world around you. To a baby's developing brain, which is like a sponge, you are a real-time map of what everything means. In developmental psychology, this phenomenon is called by a professional term, social referencing. It is the behavior where a child looks at the emotional reaction of the caregiver for information, thereby knowing how to interpret an ambiguous situation. When a baby crawls towards something unfamiliar, a new object, a stranger, or a new environment, before deciding whether to touch it or not, they always look at you. If your face is relaxed, smiling, and open, they will confidently approach. But if your face is tense, panicked, or frowning, they will immediately back away. They are using your emotional reaction as a guiding compass for a world they completely lack the experience to interpret on their own. Research from the classic visual cliff experiments of the 1960s demonstrated this clearly. Infants were placed on a transparent glass surface, underneath which was a drop-off that created the illusion of a dangerous deep cliff. When mothers on the other side of the cliff showed a fearful expression, almost no babies would crawl across, even though the safe glass was underneath. But when the mothers changed their facial expressions to show happiness, joy, and encouragement, the vast majority of the babies bravely crossed over. The child's behavior was determined almost entirely by the caregiver's face. This is why following you is not just about physical proximity, it is about access to information. Your baby needs to be close enough to read your face, monitor your reactions, and use you as an interpretive framework through which the world makes sense. Every time they follow you into a new room, they are bringing their map reader along. This brings an incredibly important message for parents. The face you show your baby as you move through the day, the expressions you carry when you are tired, stressed, or frustrated with something completely unrelated to them, are being read continuously by the child. It is silently shaping how they understand and evaluate the world around them. This does not mean forcing you to act or fake happiness in a strained way when you are exhausted. It is here to help you understand the weight of your presence, to understand what your body is communicating to your child, thereby helping you be intentional and regulate your expressions better when you can. The third truth: they are downloading everything you do. There is a special type of neuron in the human brain that researchers accidentally discovered in the 1990s while studying monkeys. Its discovery completely changed humanity's understanding of how learning works: mirror neurons. These cells have an incredible property. They fire both when an individual performs an action and when that individual merely sees another individual perform the same action. These neurons literally simulate the observed behavior right inside the brain. In infants and young children, this mirror neuron system is one of the most active systems, developing at a rapid pace during the first years of life. Besides that, there is a profound biological and evolutionary perspective that we need to comprehend. A child's stress response system immediately activates when the following behavior is interrupted and they cannot maintain proximity with their primary caregiver. When you suddenly disappear behind a closed door, the level of cortisol in the child's body rises and their heart rate goes up. The child's nervous system instantly switches from a calm state of exploration that supports learning to an alert, panicked state directed toward a single goal: finding you at all costs. Remember, this is not a behavioral issue. It is pure biology. It is the ancient evolutionary mechanism that kept human infants close to their caregivers to survive. That proximity kept them safe from predators, harsh weather, and thousands of lurking dangers of early life. That survival mechanism is operating inside your child right now. The distress and heartbreaking cries of a child when separated are not irrationality or throwing a tantrum. It is the appropriate response of a nervous system precisely calibrated to understand that proximity to the caregiver equals survival, and losing track of the caregiver equals danger. Research from the field of developmental neuroscience shows a very clear reality: when a child's separation distress is handled sensitively by parents with a timely response, meaning when you return, reconnect, hug, and help the baby co-regulate their emotions, the peak of stress cortisol drops quickly and cleanly. Through times like these, the child's nervous system learns what it is trying to find. It learns that separation is only temporary, that you always come back, that this distress can be overcome, and that it will always end in a safe reunion. Conversely, when a child's separation distress is handled by ignoring it, brushing it off, or when the baby's crying signals are dismissed, or worse, responded to with frustration and yelling from parents, cortisol levels remain high for a long time. The child's nervous system does not get the repair experience it needs. Over time, this unresolved Repeated separation, distress will shape the child's stress response system in negative ways. It leads to anxiety, difficulties with environmental transitions later on, and creates a highly vigilant following behavior. The child will cling to you in a panic, never truly relaxing because their brain has never deeply learned that they are actually safe. The way you handle the moments when your baby cannot follow you, in a very real sense, is teaching their nervous system what to expect from this world. A sensitive, gentle reunion teaches them that separation will end, that you will return, that distress is only temporary, and that they can completely trust in the reliability of your return. That core trust is not built in a single moment. It is built through hundreds, thousands of tiny daily moments. It is built through every gate, every closed door, and every phrase like "Mommy will be right back," or "Daddy will be right back where you keep your promise." And that is precisely the firmest foundation of independence that will eventually replace the following behavior later on. A child becomes independent not because they stop needing you, but because they have learned deeply enough, felt in their very bones, that you are always there when they need you. It is that absolute trust that makes them no longer feel the need to follow you in such an urgent and panicked way. Therefore, a baby following you everywhere is not a tiring phase for you to just endure and get through. It is a beautiful window into one of the most remarkable processes in human development, a young brain learning what it means to be safe, to explore, to trust, and ultimately, to stand firm on its own 2 feet. Every time they follow you, they are using you as a secure base. Every time they look back to check if you are there, they are practicing social referencing, reading your face for information about the world. Every time they toddle after you into the kitchen, their mirror neurons are running at full capacity, olfactory anchors are working, and distance regulation systems are being calibrated. On the surface, it looks like a child being clingy, following you in an annoying way, but at its deepest meaning, it is learning. And the most important thing they are learning, more than the objective permanence of objects, more than motor coordination, more than anything else, is the answer to the question, is this world a place where the people you need will always be reliably present? Your job is to be there, to let them follow. Independence will come. It always comes, but it comes faster and it comes more firmly to children who are allowed to follow behind parents who truly understand exactly what that following is for